We are 3 days away from Broncos Raiders kicking off at Mile High. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. On today's show, we're going to run through the latest injury reports, talk about Jeudy, whether or not he could play in Week 1, and then I've got 5 keys to victory for Denver and Sean Payton. So let's get started with the injury reports. It's pretty light on both sides. Jeudy, the biggest name of the bunch, I'd say. Second straight day, he was limited as he continues to come back from a hamstring injury he suffered in joint practices with the Rams. We'll talk more about him in detail in a moment. Tight end Chris Manhertz was limited with a chest injury. And then the rookie cornerback Riley Moss, who's working his way back from a sports hernia, was limited as well. As for the Raiders, the most notable name is Chandler Jones, who is just completely blown up on social media. That is a long video for, I'd say, another day, but I don't think he's got many days left with the Raiders. Non-injury related, he did not practice, and I don't see a way he's on the field Week 1 after what he said on Instagram and whatnot about the Raiders. But let's talk about Jeudy. Second straight practice that he was limited with a hamstring injury, which I did not think he would be available at all after the type of hamstring strain he suffered back on August 24th when he was carted off the field. It looked like it could be a 4 to 6 week injury. I guess the initial diagnosis might not have been too accurate because here we are now about 2 weeks later and Jerry's got a shot at playing. I think there is a chance that Jeudy plays. Ultimately, I think Sunday's going to roll around. Judy's going to be a game time decision, I feel like, and they're going to be a bit cautious. They're not going to push it because the Raiders, well, they're the Raiders. You don't need all hands on deck to take down Las Vegas. Although, unfortunately, the Raiders have had Denver's number the last few years. But I think it's going to be a Courtland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Brandon Johnson kind of day. Now, there are some players on the practice squad for Denver. Phillip Dorsett, Lil'Jordan Humphrey, and David Sills. My suspicion is 2 of those 3 guys get called up on Sunday. Lil'Jordan Humphrey and David Sills feels like the best candidates. Humphrey's got the experience from training camp in the preseason, and I think Sills is just a better player than Phillip Dorsett right now. So my guess is those 2 guys get the phone call. But if Jeudy is not available on Sunday, what is your confidence level without him? Scale it 1 to 10. 1 being it's going to be a disaster and Denver's going to lose by 90. 10 being that you are Courtland Sutton. You are telling me right now that you can carry the workload without number 10 on the field. Because Courtland Sutton, the last few seasons, has not been the guy he was in 2019. And we don't really need to go down this well too far. We know that Sutton has struggled the last 2 years, but everyone said he has come into camp in its best shape of life season, looking like he added 10 to 15 pounds of good weight, some good muscle, got a nice tone definition going on with his biceps and whatnot, but he's also looking faster, springier, all that stuff, and hopefully this is the best season from Jeudy we have seen after coming back from that ACL tear now 2-3 years ago. Another guy to watch would be Marvin Mims. Denver moved into round 2 to get the Oklahoma speedster. I think Mims is going to have a sneaky big role for this team early on, kind of like how Greg Dulcich came back last year from the hamstring injury and just emerged on the scene with a big game against the Chargers. Who's to say Marvin Mims can't be the new Tyler Lockett for Russell Wilson, right? That deep ball guy who can really stretch the field. If that's the case, Denver's got a guy who, Tyler Lockett's gone over 1,000 yards for like 5, 6, 7 straight years, it feels like. So I think Mims could quietly be in for a much larger role than even Broncos country or the national media and your average football fan is paying much attention to. So with all that being said, let's get into my 5 keys for victory for Sean Payton. I read an interesting article about Sean Payton from ESPN Seth Wickersham, and it really highlighted what a control freak and meticulous coach Sean Payton is. So my guess is Sean Payton, he's looking at every single blog, YouTube video, you name it out there, because he wants to win so badly. He's not going to leave a single stone unturned. Now, before we get to my 5 keys to victory, I've got to tell everyone about our awesome sponsor today, Game Time. Stop stressing about getting tickets to go see your favorite event. With Game Time, it is fast and easy to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Plus, they've got killer deals on last-minute tickets, and their best price guarantee so you can stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you're going to be having at a Broncos game, at a Nuggets game, at an Avs game, a Rockies game, whatever you want. Now, one of the awesome features about Game Time is you can actually see what your view will be from your seat. Producer Patrick Seatman and I last week, along with some other guys here at Chat Sports, we went to the UNC South Carolina game in Charlotte. We just wanted to see a good matchup. And with Game Time, we were actually able to know what our view would be from our seat. And then best of all, they hooked it up with $20 off because we used the promo code Broncos Chat. So make sure you go check out Game Time today. They've got the best place. They are the best place for last-minute ticket deals, and along with their awesome deals, which are best price guaranteed. So if you find another site out there with a better price in the same section in the same row, Game Time will then give you a 110% match of that value. So download the Game Time app. Use our promo code Broncos Chat for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, download the app, create an account, Broncos Chat, and then you are in business for the best place to get tickets at the last moment. Or you can plan way in advance, whatever you want to do. Download it today. All that information is down in the comment section and the description of today's video. Now, my keys to victory, let's start with, I think, a pretty obvious one. Protect Russell Wilson. He was tied for the most amount of sacks last year with Justin Fields. Now, that's not all on his offensive line. There are lots of instances where Russell Wilson bails from a good pocket because he gets a little bit nervous. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I think Russell Wilson definitely needs to get a better offensive line play, and that starts with Garrett Bowles, the leader of the clubhouse, rallying everyone else around him as this cornerstone franchise left tackle. Now, Max Crosby on the other side, he is going to be a issue. He's going to be a big issue, actually, because he had 12.5 sacks last year, 22 tackles for loss. Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator, was speaking to the media today and said every single play they put in for this game, they asked themselves, how do we plan to block Max Crosby? How do we plan to take into account what Max Crosby can do? He is one of those game-changing defensive ends that every team has to plan for. You just can't have him unaccounted for because the guy can take a game over. Now, before we get to the rest of my keys to victory, help us reach our next subscriber milestone, 15,150 subs, which we are 25 away. If we can wake up, or if I can wake up on Sunday morning with this many subscribers, I'm going to feel really good about myself, and I'm going to feel even better about Broncos country showing up and showing out to take down the Raiders. Key number 2, limit Josh Jacobs. You just got to limit him. I am not a big Josh Jacobs believer. Yes, he led the NFL in rushing last year. 1,600 yards. That's not crazy impressive, if I'm being honest, to lead the NFL in rushing, right? He's 350 yards away from getting to 2K. He also did it because they gave him 340 carries. 340 carries. Like, if you get that much of a workload, you should lead the NFL in rushing. Now, unfortunately for Denver, Josh Jacobs has been a Broncos killer. The guy has 9 touchdowns against Denver in his career. That is his personal highest against any one team. So for Denver, you just got to limit Josh Jacobs. You don't need to take him out of the game. He's going to get his fair share of points and wins and whatnot, but just don't let him take over like he did last year and go off for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm asking for 78 yards and even 1 score. That's fine, but just try to, reduce the damage. Third key to victory, I need Courtland Sutton to step up. If Jerry Jeudy can go, which as I'm filming this right now, Thursday afternoon, it's sounding pretty close to questionable, I don't think he's going to be even close to 100%. So if that's the case, Courtland Sutton, who is not on the injury report, and he has been clean as a whistle, a bill of health all training camp long, essentially, we need to see the pre-ACL tear. And I know that's difficult. And unfortunately, injuries just suck, and they are unfair, and they are out of your control a lot of the time. But that pre-ACL tear guy, the guy who scored 10 touchdowns in 33 games, had over 1,000 yards in his second year, I need to find that guy. That guy needs to show up because the 4 touchdowns over the last 32 games, it's not going to cut it. You need to have a dominant receiver for Russell Wilson to start this bounce back tour, right? To start this turnaround. and Courtland Sutton needs to be someone that Russell Wilson can lean on. Now, the Raiders' cornerback room, it really doesn't scare me all that much. Ja'Cory Bennett, Nate Hobbs, Marcus Peters. Ask yourself this question. Would any of those guys, or all three of those guys, would any of them start over Damarri Mathis? I'm not saying Damarri Mathis, the greatest CB2 in the world, but when you got Pat Surtain and Damarri Mathis on your side, I just don't think Ja'Cory Bennett and Nate Hobbs and Marcus Peters are the type of corners that Courtland Sutton and Marvin Mims can't get more than their fair share of wins against. Now, who do you think is going to be better in 2023? Courtland Sutton or Marvin Mims? Type the jersey number down below for the guy you think has a better season overall. I'm kind of a little late to the Marvin Mims party, but if you don't mind if I kind of just sneak in, I'll sit in the back. I don't need to have big attention. I'll get a red Solo cup, get some punch, probably have too many hors d'oeuvres, too many appetizers, but I won't double dip. So that's my deal right there to joining the late Marvin Mims party, George Costanza style. Moving on to my fourth key to victory, we need some Pat Surtain dominance. There is one path to victory for the Las Vegas Raiders, and it is through Davante Adams, which means Patrick Surtain needs to be Patrick Surtain. You saw the huge jump he had from year one, where he was still putting up teach tape as a rookie, to being an absolute lockdown corner in his second season. We need all of that skill against Davante Adams, because last year, Adams got the better end of Patrick Surtain. 2 touchdowns, 242 yards in 2 games. Unfortunately, that big overtime walk-off winner in Denver as well. It is time for Patrick Surtain going up against one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the NFL, which is no small task to prove he is CB1. I might start rebranding Pat Surtain, PS2, as PS1, because he is the number 1 corner. Now, my fifth and final key to victory, a balanced ground attack. I know we are all excited to see Javonte Williams come back, but Samaje Perine was signed as this team's RB2 with a plan in place of him likely being the RB1 until Javonte Williams returns. Now, what Denver did not account for back in March, April when they signed Perine was that Javonte Williams would more or less have a medical miracle and be ready to go 100% pretty much for week 1. This definitely was something that caught me by surprise, but I am here to say this is not going to be a Javonte Williams complete takeover game. I know that I am not beating a dead horse, but still in somewhat denial because it's just unreal that he is available right now. But this is not going to be a game where Javonte Williams gets 25-plus carries. I still believe there will be some sort of easing him back into the flow of things. So I think it's going to be like a 45-10 workload, right? Where Javonte Williams gets 45% of the touches, Samaje Perine gets 45% of the touches, and then Jaleel McLaughlin, Russell Wilson, maybe an end around to Marvin Mims. I don't know. That makes it the last 10% of the running back workload and just the ground game altogether. So those are my 5 keys to victory, Sean. You can thank me after the win on Sunday. But this is the last video I think we're going to be filming until kickoff. So with that being said, it is time to call an end to an era, which is our summer hot takes, because summer is over once football gets underway. And today's high, I don't care. I don't give a shit, because my hot take today goes off of our charts, and that is the Broncos beat the Raiders. They end Las Vegas's run against Denver, and they sweep the Raiders this season. For the first time since the Raiders have moved to Las Vegas, the Broncos pick up not 1, but 2 wins this season, and they started off with, I think, a walk-off field goal and Pat Surtain pick 6 on the first play. Book it right now. Pat Surtain, first play, Jimmy Garoppolo, just alligator arms, a curl. Surtain jumps it, 27 yards the other way. Denver's up 7-0 with 14. I got seeps clapping for me right now. Denver's up 7-0 with 14 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the first quarter of action. And Josh McDaniels has that stupid look on his face of just like complete confusion of like, what? Huh? No. And then he just like Michael Scott in The Office with his nephew just spanks Jimmy Garoppolo after that play. So that is my final summer hot take right there. Predict the score for me, Broncos versus Raiders. I'm going to go Denver winning it 27-20. 27-20 for the Broncos. Let me know what your score prediction is down below.